Hey, Pearl, how are you today? Hey, and here's Minnie. Look at the pretty flowers I just planted. What? Oh, you're right. I almost forgot. Another day of soul care.
Listen, Miss Maisie May. Hi, everyone. It's James. How are you? Welcome to Soul Care on July the 25th. And I'm here today, and I'm going to talk all about Maisie May. So, welcome. And here we are. I'm just looking. I like that. And here we go. Put common songs of people coming on. Hi, Eric. Hi, Dawn. Hi, Rhonda. I'm just going like we share pictures with one another. I thought I'd share with you some pictures of my Miss Maisie, my doggie, Miss Maisie May. And I'll share with you some. We all have animals that we're very, very close to, of course, in our lives. And I've shared a lot with Miss Maisie May over the years. You guys knew that. And she's around. She's still around. And she brought me my two doggies recently. There she is. All right. There's Miss Maisie. And she's exploring my garden. She's she was a dachshund and a Jack Russell, and she was a rescue. Hi, Shani from Scotland. Hi, Barbie Polo. Yvonne. Hi, Jean. And isn't it funny? I'm like, I know a lot of you guys, when you tend to oh, did I? I'm sorry. I touched my. Did I, Renee? Sorry. I touched the can with my finger. Hold on. Let me wipe the lens. There we go. Is that better? Okay. Thanks, Renee. It's good now. Okay. Thank you. Anyway, let's just see here a couple more. Hey, Liba, Lori, Ellen from Iowa. Yes. Pam. Hi, Pam. Diamond from Germany. Damien. Very good. Hi, DJ. Hi, Lori. Hi, Lori Smith. Yes, Maisie May is my guide. She's a wonderful person, wonderful being, and I want to share some things here with you with her. I took a lot of photos of Maisie May, and of course, like maybe a lot of you, I never put them in my files, which I should, but I haven't. So I should have had this ready for. Here we go. My favorite picture. That's Miss Maisie May. And she was really, she is, I should say, thanks Maisie May. I used to be in my office here hanging out and doing work, and she would be down on the floor, and I sometimes would know she was on the floor because my door is open in my office here. And I just feel this energy, and I looked down, and there she was, and she was just lying there. And she was the cutest thing ever. As we all know, we have a lot of our cute babies. And she was just, I don't know, she really, really got me through a lot in my life. I've had many dogs over my lifetime, but she really was something very special. And the interesting story with Maisie May is that when I got Maisie May, it was many, many years ago, close to, oh gosh, I don't know. So it could be about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, probably about 13 or 14 years ago. And I think you might have heard the story. Maybe you have not. Some new people here from everywhere, from Scotland and Ireland, all over the place, in Denmark. Fantastic. Anyway, I was downtown San Diego with my friend Chip, my best friend of many, many years, 40 years. And we went to this four-way stop, and I had this vision, like 2 seconds before it happened, of this little puppy running into the middle of the street, and it was a four-way stop sign. And I saw a Volvo run over this puppy. Sure enough, it happened 2 seconds later. This little girl in the corner, her puppy, ran out of her arms into the middle of the street, and a Volvo ran over her. And it was really dramatic, I would say. And I got out of the car, and I knelt down in the middle of the street, and I somehow, in an altered state of some kind, tried to bring back the dog, the puppy, to try to stop time in a way, so this doggie wasn't suffering. And the doggie was looking up and withering, and it was really bad. And I thought that I was so angry at the mother that allowed her daughter to have the dog without a leash on it, and it really upset me. I was so traumatized. And my chip said, "Oh, isn't that a shame?" I said, "Yes, it is a shame." And I went and finally got up, and I realized I better get up. If they don't see the dog, they don't see me. I got up and I parked the car 2 blocks away, walked back, and there was a policewoman holding the dog in a blanket. And I looked at her. I said, she goes, "Yeah," and the little girl is screaming, "I just want to say goodbye." So it was very traumatic. So I was bothered by that for about 2 weeks, and I couldn't sleep. And for 2 weeks, I finally fell asleep one night. I had this event from, I think it was my guides. I had to be. And they said, "You need to go to the shelter tomorrow and you'll find the dog that'll help heal you." And I said, "Okay." So I went to the shelter the next day and I looked in all the different kennels. There were about 20 of them lined up. And hi, Nina. Hi, Claire. Hi, Colin. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Sylvia. Hi, Diane. And I looked at all the kennels, and there was no dog that really spoke to me. They didn't communicate with me. So and that was it. I went back to the lobby, and I'm crying, and I'm like, "You told me to come down here. Where is the dog? You said there'd be a healing dog for me." And I looked suddenly at the very last kennel, which was empty at the time, and this little white thing comes out, and that was Maisie. And she comes all the way out, and she looks straight at me, and I was far away in the lobby, and our eyes connected, and I walked out to see her. And hi, Emily. And I walked out to see her, and she went on her back and showed me her belly, like that puppy that died did. So I said, "Okay, this is the dog." And I took her home, and it just felt right. It felt complete, and we had a connection right away. And it was incredible. And I didn't know what to name her, so I wasn't sure what to name her. And I was in my office in Laguna Beach. I lived in Laguna Beach, and that was an office I worked in. And she was out in this patio area outside the office. And I didn't have a name for her. And I swear, all of a sudden, objectively, and it's one of the rarest times, I only had it 3 times where I've had a spirit manifest outside myself, objectively manifest in the room. And it built up, and it was this woman from the 1930s. And I knew it was my great Aunt Maggie, who I'd never met, but I heard about her. And she was wearing a gray dress with the buttons from the bottom of the skirt all the way to the top. And she said, "Her name is Maisie May. That's her name." And I said, "Maisie May." And she said, "That is her name." And the vision, she left. It was gone. I yelled out from my desk, screamed out to the patio. I said, "Maisie May." The dog came into the office, hopped up on my lap, and gave me a kiss. And kept on kissing me. So that's how she got her name. Okay? I know. So when she passed, when she was very ill, and we had a connection every single day, and the connection was that we just had each other, as far as we just vibed with each other. We, with an animal, if you can tune into their rhythm, because we're all connected, right? So there's all that, it's all energy, and if you can just vibe, like we often do, we telepathically connect with one another. The same if you can be with a human or an animal, because animals are so much more open than humans. And Maisie was such a healer. She really was, as most animals are. And I just vibed with her energy. We just got along. And when she got ill, she had diabetes. She had adult diabetes. Well, hold on. Let me tell you something else. She had pancreatitis once. And I remember that my partner at the time brought her to a vet in Orange County, California. And an emergency, and they said she has pancreatitis. And I said, "Oh my God, how is she?" "Well, if she doesn't eat tomorrow, we should think about doing something else." And I said, "Huh?" So I sent her thoughts, and I said, "You have to eat, and I'll take you home." The next day I called up, she had eaten, and said she's ready to come home. Now, before I continue the story, when I used to travel around the world doing tours and shows around the world, around the States and around the world, and I used to be in a hotel room, Maisie used to come and see me at the hotel room. She'd be on the bed. I'd see her very clearly. She'd be licking my face. So, right. So I brought her back from the hospital. I was bringing her back to the emergency room from Orange County down to San Diego. And she's really out of it because she was put on IV, and they gave her antibiotics. She was a bit out of it. And I kept on petting her. And as if I was overshadowed by a guide, I knew that I had to do something. And I took my hand and I held it to her stomach. And I saw this brown gunky stuff in the shape of a pancreas. And it was in her pancreas, this brown gunky stuff. And I moved it. I knew when I teach healing. And I moved this mass, whatever this was, this material, out of that area into her colon to be excavated, right out to let go. So I kept on pushing that, just energetically, letting it go. That's why that space lighten up. This is interesting. So when I got home with her, she went out and she went pooped in the garden, and and it sounds gross, but it's true. It was the exact shape of the part that I saw clairvoyantly in her body. She was fine after that. She was great. And then about a year later, she developed adult diabetes, and it was really rough for her because she's very. Everyone had a Jack Russell knows it's very hard. Jack Russell are very independent. So I went to the emergency room several times or whatever, and at one point it came to a point they said you really have to probably let it go. I'm like, oh, very very hard. Hardest thing you have to do as a human is let your pet go, right? So I talked to her a couple of nights beforehand, and I explained to her, and it was as you imagine very very sad. We have to do that with an animal. Uh, so what happened was I was a Saturday afternoon, probably around it's probably around 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and I took her down to the vet, and they had to hook her up for the IV type thing, and I'll never forget that I talked to her and I said, honey, I'm sorry I didn't have to do this. It causes a lot of pain for you, and I just want you to be happy. And she gave me a feeling, a sense that even though she was ill, she gave me a feeling that she was going to be okay, and she was more concerned about me. And I just said to her, honey, make me a promise that when it's my turn, you'll come and do this for me so we can be together. So that's her. That's Maisie May. She's looking out. That's where I do yoga on my porch. And another picture I had there, she is the type of water. Anyway, yeah. And this is a garden I created in my house. Look at this. Isn't that lovely? I designed that. Yeah. So I wanted to share this with you guys. And someone did a wonderful painting for me of Maisie May. Right? So, yeah. And I wrote this prayer to her afterwards, and you probably read it. I looked over to see you tucked in your bed on the right, then remembered you are not there, and I will be all alone tonight. I love you. I love your every look, every twinkle in your eyes. I'll miss that now that I have to say goodbye. The morning would start with a lick or two to announce a brand new day. Hurry up and come along, your tail would always sway. You jumped down the hall with excitement and grace and ran out the door to begin an entire new race. You raised your nose. I wrote this. I wrote this. Well, they inspired me. You raised your nose to smell the air and left the warm sun gently touch your hair. The journeys began with a dash or two to find the perfect tree so you could sit with that pleasant glee. You ran up the stairs and all around, exploring each crevice of space. Your muslin mattered and colored with leaves as you showed your curious face. We walked together step by step, sharing the earthly ground, exploring and observing life with each and every sound. I think it's pretty good. Now the summers are gone and I am left alone, for you have taken a piece of my heart and buried it like a bone. I still feel, I'll cry. I feel you're next to me, sharing each step along the way, and can hardly wait for that glorious day when you come running toward me in your heavenly glow as you guide us back to our heavenly home where together we can eternally roam. So that's my love letter to Maisie. And after she left, I went left the vet, and they brought her in the back, and I went my truck. I have a pickup truck. I thought, what am I going to do? I should go to a place that I feel happy, because I was really sad. And I thought, I'll go to a nursery, look at the flowers. So I'm on my way to the nursery, and within 5 minutes, Maisie appears right next to me on my lap, and a fluffy, real white little fluffy, like puppy looking thing, and happy, and just licks my face like that first day, licking my face like crazy. So, and she was with me for a long time. Every day I'd see her, I'd be aware of her, more aware. Not as much now, but I am aware that she's here. But I was the first several weeks right close to me. And I said to her, if you want me to have another doggie, because I wasn't even thinking about it, you'd have to bring that doggie to me. So fast forward, what happened was several months later, my friend Chip, who I didn't see that often because he lives far away, he came to visit, and he had a dog named Rosie. And Rosie was an Australian Shepherd. And Rosie, once she saw me, she wouldn't leave me alone. She jumped on my lap. She played. She slept with me in the bed. She wouldn't sleep with Chip in his bedroom and the guest room. She wouldn't sleep with, and she wouldn't even look at him. And he started crying. He goes, "My dog loves you more than me. What's going on?" I said, "I have a connection with the doggies." And I said, he goes, "Yeah, are you going to keep my dog?" And I said, "I will keep your dog." But I said, you have to pay attention to your dog, and you got to think with your dog. You got to be connecting with that animal. There's ways and telepathic ways and exercises where you have to open up to them. So he said, "Okay." And I said, "But I would love her, but I don't want to take your dog from you." And it just so happened that he got that dog from, I think, a rescue up or a breeder up in near San Francisco area. And that week, that breeder had two puppies that same week. And I decided to get them because I knew that Chip was a connecting figure between Maisie and them. And when I made that decision, I went up to my bathroom. I was shaving for an event. And Maisie came to me and started looking at my face like crazy, like, "Thank you for doing that." She was happy I'm doing that. And now I have Maisie, Minnie and Pearl, my two Australian Shepherds. And they are now, they are not here right now because they're at boarding school because they're puppies. And I'm 60 years old and I can't, I thought, what am I doing? Because all these puppies. So they're great. They're beautiful dogs. I'll show them to you. There they are playing. Pearl's the bottom. That's Minnie on top. And they're beautiful animals. They really are. There's Pearl. I'm sitting here. And oh, here we are. There's Minnie. And that's Pearl lying down when she eats and drinks. She doesn't like to do much work, so she lays down. Looks at her paws in the bowl. Anyway, so I'm dedicating a course to Maisie May, and it's my new animal course. I did an animal course a couple of years back with Samantha Curry, who's an incredible animal intuitive. She helped San Diego Zoo with their people, their animals. She was incredible once when she helped me with Maisie when Maisie was ill. She told me exactly what was going on. She told me how Maisie felt about going over. Amazing stuff. And when you're in the middle of that, it's hard for you to make your own objective clarity in your mind, have that sense. And she helped me. So she's going to do this workshop with me and dedicating it to Maisie May. And we're going to include what we did 2 years ago. We did a workshop for animals, but this one is going to be added on a lot more new thing, 2 live workshops, a lot of information. And it's going to be really about pet communication. I want to share with people how you can connect with that animal on a living way, how you vibe into their way and communicate with them. Oh, and there it is. There's a connection right there if you want to know how to get to the workshop. So the course, it's an animal course. And so I think one thing about Maisie that taught me, and I didn't know this, was I didn't know how to feel after she passed out of the physical. And I didn't grieve for, I've never grieved for Maisie because I didn't need to. I was like, why am I not grieving for Maisie? And she was close to me and she said to me telepathically, because we lived fully every moment. So if you live in your life every moment fully, the fullness of each moment, there's nothing to regret because you have no should-haves, would-haves, or could-haves. And that's what she taught me. So we're going to do exercise about telepathically connecting with your animals, how to communicate, not only dogs, but cats and birds and also fish. I mean, it's all life force. It's just tuning into their vibration. And, they communicate differently than we do. They communicate with pictures. And once you get that, and the personalities are really strong. And once you get to that personality and you give them a safe space and they can trust you, everything's open. The other night, a girl came over the other night with some friends and she had a little chihuahua and she'd never been here. And this little tiny chihuahua named Magic was so cute. And she goes, he's very timid. He's very shy. So, oh, it's okay. Okay, let him off the leash here. He'll be fine. And within 5 minutes, he was running like crazy, running all over. The same thing Maisie used to do. So this girl said to me, she goes, I'd never seen him do this. I said, this happens. And she goes, how? I said, you just got to give the space, trust. And my space I live in is a pet sanctuary. It's a pet space. It's open for animals. It's a healing space. So Magic loved it. Magic ended up on my lap. I went and got a little bed for Magic. And Magic it was wonderful. And I want to go back to Minnie and Pearl. What is also, I think, with animals, that part of the soul of the other animal can be part of the new animal because why do we limit the soul? Part of them can be into that new one. And I know that part of Maisie is with Minnie. I'm fast forwarding. So when I put I knew I was going to get those two animals, and they were still with their mother, so they're being weaned, and it was like four weeks, and Maisie would come to me, and sometimes she was right there with me, and I said, "What are you doing?" She goes, "I'm working with the puppies." I said, "Okay." So I hadn't seen her for like 2 weeks, and she was working with the puppies, I guess. And then one day I'm driving back from I went to Palm Springs, and driving back, and all of a sudden I see Maisie next to me, and she's like exhausted. She's like floundering over, just flopping over. And I said, "What happened, Maisie?" And I just knew she'd been working with the puppies, and they knocked her out. She was so tired of working with the puppies. So when I got the puppies and I had to start puppy training them, that was me. And 2 weeks after that, I was lying there just like Maisie was. So she was trying to tell me that it's going to be exhausting. And she was right. So I was lucky I found a wonderful boarding and trainer in Ramona, California, who is taking great care of these babies. They have 5 of their own shepherds, and they're really compassionate. And I get them back in 2 weeks. I get my doggy, Minnie Pro. So, and Minnie, I know Minnie's part of Maisie. Maisie's part of Minnie, because Minnie just licks my face, gives me kisses all the time, exactly like Maisie used to. So there you go. So, so imagine how your life would change if you were able to communicate with your pet on a daily basis and connecting with them and getting signs from your animals when they have to go out, when they're hungry, if they're in pain. How do you know that? So we're going to teach you about attuning to your animal, attuning to the wavelengths of the brain wavelengths, the energy that's sending out, how you can tune into them. So that's what this course is about. So it's it'll be a 2 live workshop, live Zoom calls on it, and a lot of teaching from the last course too, plus added on with all different animal psychics or intuitives from our last course. We have Michael Tamura, Raphael Tamura, and we have good old Tammy Hendricks with us, and Samantha, of course, before, and plus myself. So I'm going to read you what I have here as far as notes goes. Learn simple techniques to better understand and communicate with your pet using your intuition and theirs, okay? Because Samantha's techniques are very, very incredible. Who rescued who? And the connection. Samantha, I found Samantha, I was telling you earlier, the San Diego Zoo called her up, and they were having trouble with their animals. They're elephants, the herd of elephants. They're acting very weird. And the zookeeper, his wife knew about Samantha, and he didn't believe in any of it. And he called her up and said, "Would you come down and check our elephants out?" And she did. And she said to the zookeeper, this gentleman, she said, and this is on YouTube, by the way, fun's on YouTube. She said, is there a calf that died recently? And he said, yes. And she asked, "Do you have any more skeletal remains of that calf?" And yes, we do. We have the skull. So they put the skull in the middle of the yard. And one by one, they stayed back. One by one, each elephant came and tore a piece of the skull, a bone, and took it away into a different part of the big yard. Each elephant, probably 4 or 5 elephants, I think. And each one buried a part of that skull. And after that, there were 5. So they had to have their ritual. They had to be able to say goodbye to that baby, to that calf, because elephants are extremely protective. And she knew then. And afterwards, they thanked Samantha for doing that. So pretty incredible. Our lives are full with our animal friends. So if you're interested in this course, it's going to be August 10th is the first one, the live workshop, and then another one after that. The JVP School of Mystical Arts course, their spirit animal friends. And it's really great, I think, to have animals in your life. And also, listen, this morning I went to a place. It was a nursery, and the owner there, who became very friendly with over the weekend, nice man, and he said, "So what are you doing down this crevice down there?" He goes, "Oh, I'm just feeding my animal." I said, "What?" There was a tortoise. He had a 10-year-old tortoise, and the tortoise was eating some fruit, and he feeds this tortoise. And I said, "Wow, how long have you had that?" He goes, "Yeah, she's about 10 years, little baby." So I'm going to bring I have a couple of fruit trees. I'm going to bring my extra fruit over there for that tortoise. Tortoises, I love the difference in animals, how they think. I find it really interesting that most animals have a sense right away if they could trust the space that the human is coming. I guess know that. And they're here to teach us and love us. Anyway, so there, I hope you'll join me. Questions? Hi, Renee Hansel. Dawn Rosen. Before we incarnate, do we also make agreements with our pets that will join us? Yes. Dawn, I do. Good to see you, Dawn. Yes, I believe that sometimes it's karmic, it's destiny. I believe that from my experience with the dogs I've had, I don't believe in accidents. And I know that with Maisie May and my other dogs I used to have too, some of them I felt connected. There was one dog I had named Bambi, and I was living in Hollywood, and I remember a very small apartment, and she was a dog that was out in the street, homeless dog, yes, and seemed a little kind of looked a little ferocious, looked like a deer, so I called her Bambi. And I put food out every night in the middle of the street there, just one side of the street, and at 10 o'clock every night. And I'd send out thoughts to her that it's okay, it's safe to be here. And she started eating that food every night. And then in the morning she came by and she was near my door. And I put food out by the door. And that went on for about 4 days. And then I brought her inside the house in the afternoon and she came in and I fed her and I kept the door open and she never left. And she became so friendly and so appreciative. I think animals are so appreciative, especially rescues, when you take them. Well, next thing you know, we're running all over the apartment, jumping and dancing. And I bring her to the park, and she's this big dog, and sit her on my lap as I'm driving my car. And she put her head out the window. And yeah, it's great. Things that humans can't do. Yeah. Okay. Carolyn, hi, James from England. How you doing there, Carolyn? Love it. Can you choose to come back as an animal? If so, do some spirits come back as animals to be close to their human loved ones? I think that's limiting us if we say come back as an animal. Why can't part of us be the animal? So right now, as we're sitting here, part of your soul is our souls are in other levels, in other spaces, other realms. Why can't part of our soul be a part of an animal right now? Why limit us? So I think the soul energy is almost like water. It can go into all different spaces and places. So I think part of, who knows, that part of that connection is that, I wouldn't limit it, that where it can be animals, part of animals. We're all connected. There's only one force, there's one energy. And that's the prana, the energy of life, the breath of life within everything. Laura, hi, Laura. Took the similar course 2 years ago. It was absolutely amazing. Thank you. Can't wait for this one. I learned so much. And you'll learn a lot more, Laura. It's going to be a lot more stuff added on. I was watching this Netflix TV show on pets, about how the intelligence of pets and how they adapt. And I'm going to include some of that in the course as well, because it was so interesting that their appearance, their personality, really great. They're very smart. We humans can learn so much from animal friends. Thanks, Laura. There's Laura telling you how great the course was. Hey, hi, Christine. You have no idea how much you and your books have gotten me through my husband's recent death. I can only thank you for him. Thank you, Christine. I'm sorry about your loss. I'm sorry to hear that. I just know he hasn't suffered. There's no pain in death. And you'll see each other again, which is very important. And I think many times, Christine, that we have to keep perspective in that, as hard as it is, it's a very hard human lesson to go through, losing that physical contact with someone we love, whether, it really is hard. But the good thing to know is that they're around us. They're always around us, and they don't forget us. So part of his job may be that in your agreement before the pre-birth, and tonight on my show, Both Sides Now and Beyond, tonight at 6 o'clock, we're going to talk about pre-birth planning. So you really should check that out. There it is. What is pre-birth? Pre-birth planning, and it might be in that lifetime, that planning, Christina, that you both decided that he could help you at a certain point in your life. He was going to leave the physical and go into the spiritual and help you from that side of life. It's almost like a stage play, and there are behind the scenes, the stage hands that help the play happen. And I think our loved ones do that. I really do. Yeah, so tonight's show is going to be really great. It's going to be pre-birth planning. Hey, pick your family, your friends. You pick all the lessons that you're going through. You become aware of the obstacles you might have to go through. You become aware of the different factors that are involving the choice. We become very aware about the karmic obligations that we have. So tonight's show is all about pre-birth planning. It was really, really wonderful. Oh, my phone is ringing. I'm turning it off. So it's something which you might want to, it's going to be very, very interesting. I think you should check that out if you'd like to. Okay. Hi, Renee. Can your animals be starseeds like us? Yes. Could we have a common mission together? Yes. For interplanetary places? Yes. Very good, Renee. The answer is yes to all of that. I believe that true. True and true. Hi, Desham. I love your name. Do our same dogs reincarnate and come to us again? So I think that spirit, that personality of that soul, you share lifetimes with. So just like humans, there's no reason why you don't share the animals as well. And I know that I was a little boy, I used to It's kind of interesting. When I was a little boy, I used to have goldfish, like many kids do, or hamsters and gerbils and all different types of snakes, reptiles, and all the whole lizards. And when they died, I used to have like a viewing. I really did. I say, and people had to sign a book and visit and put flowers and candles, and I'd say prayers for each of these animals. Even if it was a goldfish, I would do that. And I built a cemetery in the backyard. It was called St. Michael's Animal Cemetery, and that was because my older brother, used to bring home animals he'd find on the street that were killed, and I used to bury them. And one time I said 27 graves with popsicle sticks as a cross, right? And I prayed over all the graves, and I put flowers on all the graves. I think our animal friends appreciate that. I know they do. And yeah, so I think that we'll meet them up again. The weekend I did a demonstration for a spiritual center in Orange County, and brought through a couple of animals. Animals often come through. And I'm doing another event August the 10th. So if you're interested in doing some readings with me, August the 10th. Okay. Thanks, Tisham. Okay. Jean, hi, Jean. Could we have been an animal in a past life? So, Jean, I think that we could have been. I believe that. I used to have the sense when I first started that there was separate species, and animal species and human species. But then again, like I just mentioned to you, why would we limit the soul? So why can't a part of that soul be a part of the animal, and that animal be part of us? So maybe that when we meet an animal that we have this total loving vibe with, maybe we're recognizing part of ourselves in that makeup of that animal self. Maybe we connect in that way. So I think anything is so possible, and human beings are so limited in their perception that I always kind of think the opposite, because humans are so limited, and we only measure things but in 3 dimensions. We don't know how to measure a 4th dimension, a 6th dimension, a 7th dimension. We don't know how they measure those dimensions. So the laws that apply to a 7th dimension don't necessarily apply to a 3-dimensional world. So we got to remember that we can't apply, the human dimensions, the 3-dimensional world, to 7th dimension or 6th dimension. 2 different things. Okay. Hi, Claire. Hi, James. I'm an animal activist. Good for you, Claire. God bless you. I love that you acknowledge the passing of animals. I know my cat Barney visited me shortly after he died. So comforting. Yeah, and thank you, Claire. I'm an animal activist to a point. When I have time, I'm really the spirit activist. And the more I work with the spirit world, I realize the humans are asleep. Walking spinal cords. I call it many humans, the sleepwalkers. So that's my activation, is to get them alive. But it's amazing because one thing Maisie also did was she was so relieved that I gave her permission to leave the body, that pain body. She was in a pain body. And it was the hardest thing. The vet said to me, James, it's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done in this human life, putting down an animal. I'm like, she was right. But I knew that Maisie was so wise. They're so beyond our years, the wisdom. And she was okay with it. It was just my human self. And when she came to me, she was so thankful that I gave her freedom. She just was so appreciative. I didn't expect that either. So I was getting caught up in the human. Thanks, Claire. Sophie, hi from Melbourne, Australia. Hello there. Love Melbourne. I've worked down in Melbourne, downtown there. Animals approach me when I'm out. Okay, they must sense who they feel safe with. Right, so it's energy, right? So if they're picking up your energy, and remember that they're very, very intuitive. Their 6th sense is way beyond us, and they're hearing. They can hear 2 miles. Dogs can hear 2 miles away. It's interesting, and they sense you. I miss my dog and a cat that I passed over. So what you can do is ask them to come into your space, and part of the workshop, we're going to teach you different techniques of bringing them closer to you. We're going to do mediumship for animals. That's what we're going to be teaching a lot too. Hope you can join us. Lori, hi, Lori. Why do some dogs have to leave us so soon? My service, my best beach bud, passed suddenly before he was 3 years old. He was a gifted healer. Yes. Many people said that many people said when they pet him, they felt better. Totally. He was magical. My sweet Dune, the Great Dane. Great Danes don't live a long time. You know that. That's they're hereditary. They tend to leave earlier, Great Danes. So we don't know that body makeup, right? We'll never find another like him. I think you will find another like him because, Laura, you're a special being. Otherwise, your doggy wouldn't have come back to you or wouldn't have found you. So Dune would not have found you if you didn't have a certain vibration, and you wouldn't have felt connected. So because you're at this magnificent, this vibration, this vibratory rate, you will attract that animal to you. I know that Dune is looking out for you still. They just evaporate. So he's finding you the perfect animal for you, for your specific needs. They do that. Their job is not over when they leave the physical. They continue, whether it's an animal or a human, they continue their work on the other side. So I know that Dune is finding another dog that's perfect for you. So, and I can't say why he passed over when he did, but I just believe there are times, times the souls come in and go out and we can't measure it by human standards. It's just the experience that that animal soul, the human soul needs. Time to come, time to go. We have to remember that in human years, 70, 80, 90 years, we think is successful. Well, that's wrong, because we should look at in soul lessons and soul experiences. If a soul just needs experience of 20 years and they've fulfilled their destiny and learned all the lessons that they have to, then they go home. Why stay here imprisoned in this physical body when they don't need to anymore? They've learned everything. They go to the higher life. So think of it as souls that they've learned as much as they can. They've gone back to learn 5 different lessons and they'd be finished by the age of 30. Or they've come to learn about something else, substance abuse, and they left at 18. Or they learned about something else and left at 55. Or they left at 70. It's always so different. So it's so difficult to say it has to be this way. And humans tend to do that. I think humans tend to do that because they want control. And we don't have control. The only thing we can control is how you respond to things that happen to you. But you can't control the people and can't control situations per se. So don't get caught up in that, using the energy. Don't use, I talked about this weekend too, don't waste the energy. Right? Don't waste it. And worrying, I talked to my friend last week about this. I said, you're too worried. Why do you worry? It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of human emotion, worry. It doesn't do good. So please don't do that. Don't waste that God-given, beautiful creative energy to worry. You're limiting God. You're limiting yourself. So there we go. There you go. Okay. A couple more and then we'll scoodle. Okay. Hi, Nina. Love listening to you. Your content touches a deeper level of my soul, which before couldn't be explored. Great, Nina. But I'm going through a religious, spiritual deconstruction. Woohoo! Love it. Been there, done that. I'm now exploring medical intuition. Not sure yet if I meant to do this, but time will tell. Well, Nina, number one, I was in a seminary, so I was in a very religious, and I also was married to a boarding and Christian girl. So I understand this. So I think that a lot of religious background comes from past life experiences. I think our soul recognizes that. Or it could also be, not one answer. It could also be that we have to learn something about ourselves in this lifetime, or we pick up from another lifetime of that religious doctrine or that discipline that we had that felt right to us. So in this lifetime, when I went to a seminary, I loved the ritual part of it. I loved that. And I still do love ritual. I just love ritual. But when I was in this seminary at 14, I remember there was a voice came to me, and I thought it was God, but it was sitting in this kind of a chapel. And the voice said, God is much bigger than these 4 walls. You have to find God outside these 4 walls. So not any one religion can own God. God is all religion. God is the religion of love. And never that's so human of putting God in a box. And I think we try to do that. We look into that box and we follow rules. And for some of us, we don't want to take responsibility for making choices. So if we follow these rules and those are the right choices, we don't have to take responsibility. So good for you, deconstruction of religion. And you'll find in your own path that that's going to be very valuable to you in years to come. You'll see how that works for you. And I would take it slow. So, and through you want to do medical intuitive, great. But I would, for instance, take my psychic portals course. Go to my school page, the JVP School of Mystical Arts, and check out the different courses I have there. I have a healing course, the psychic portals. You first have to get aware of who you are as a soul self and your intuition, and feel that. And let yourself be guided. What feels right to you, what feels natural to you. Would it be with humans or animals or the medical part of you? Learning about energy, learning about personality, learning about the chemicals in the body, learning about brain waves, all different types of things. It's exciting. Congratulations, Nina. Okay. A woman told her dog a few years ago after it passed, it needed to come back as a puppy. Last week, she found a 3-week-old abandoned puppy outside her house. Same personality as her previous dog. Wow, that's so great. What a great story. Thank you for sharing that. Isn't that, well, that says it all right there. The intelligence of the animals. There's the intelligence. Wow, that's fantastic. The great story. They never leave us. I mean, they really don't. They're always looking after us. I often talk about Maisie. Come on, let's go outside. And I open the door and she runs. I don't, sometimes I'll see her clairvoyantly, but I sense her energy and she runs around. When that dog came to the night magic, the little chihuahua, it ran around my backyard exactly like Maisie used to do. It's like, wow, that was pretty cool. So anyway, I hope you'll join me for this new course, the Animal Spirit Friends course. And that is August 10th, the first workshop. Again, go to the jvpschoolofmysticalarts.com, course, spiritual animals, friends. And I'd love to have you and share with you and get more involved with the animal world and with your connection with them on a daily basis. All right. And I hope you join me tonight. Besides now beyond when we talk about pre-planning this life and why we chose to pre-plan certain experiences. Fascinating, and I'll have some great material for you to I'm going to read to you, and I've researched a lot of this and I've been working with this for a little while, so it'll be fun. All right, but I'll see you later. God bless you. Bye-bye.